Welcome back to another TweakTown weekly podcast. This one's covering technology. All things technology is going to be covered today, ranging from, what have we got on the roster today? Ranging from Intel CPUs to HBO comedies to Apple news, which is always in the news these days. We're going to start off with Intel's tease. In the last 24 hours or so, we've heard about a new native 15-core processor. 15 cores. Now, these things are going to be Xeon processors. They're going to include hyperthreading. So we should see 30 threads compared to an i7 that has 8 threads. A 30-thread processor. Now, the new 15-core Xeon CPU will arrive as an LGA 2011 socket, which is the current high-end socket from Intel for enthusiasts. The specific model is actually going to arrive in the E7-8000 version 2 family, and the specific one that we're talking about here is the Xeon E7-8890 version 2. That family, the 8000 series family, actually have 8 members, ranging all in different core and thread counts. This one will be 15 cores, 30 threads. We are looking at, what is it? It's 37.5 megabytes of level 3 cache. It will support DDR3 1600 megahertz RAM, and it will probably cost over $5,000 for a chip when it lands. The more interesting thing here to note is that this chip, as 30 threads, will actually be compatible with an 8 processor motherboard, which can obviously take 8 processors. So you're looking at 8 processors times by 30 threads. You're looking at a system that can have 240 threads, which is just phenomenal. We did post on our Facebook page, will it run a Crisis? And probably will, because Crisis isn't too CPU limited. But it's cool to see Intel preparing that kind of stuff. And $5,000 is a lot, but you know, that'll trickle down to the consumer sector in a couple of years, and we'll be looking at that kind of power for maybe a couple of $100. Not really tech, but tech related. HBO has teased us a new comedy called Silicon Valley. It's coming from Mike Judge, who worked on Office Space, King of the Hill, and my favorite, Beavis and Butthead. It's about a couple of introverted people that live and work in Silicon Valley. They live in something called a hacker hostel, which is a startup incubator owned by millionaires in Silicon Valley. It starts on April 6th on HBO. It's comes as an 8-episode run, so first seasons, and obviously they'll see how they go. And then I'm guessing it'll be renewed because of just having Mark Judge behind it. We've got the trailer on our Facebook on TweakTown. So if you just Google TweakTown in Silicon Valley, or TweakTown Mark Judge, TweakTown HBO, it'll come up. The trailer doesn't look too bad. It's not safe for work, so don't watch it at work. Bit of swearing and stuff that's inside of that, so just be careful on what you do when you're watching that trailer, or where you are, I should say, and whether your speakers are on or not. During the week, Steve Wozniak came out and actually said, but it was misinterpreted, that we're just going to talk about it anyway as something that should be talked about. It was misreported that he actually came out and talked about Apple making an Android-based smartphone. Now, Android is an open source mobile operating system, and Apple devices and their operating system is closed off. You can only have Apple's iOS on an Apple iPhone or on an Apple device like an iPad, iPhone, iPod, where Android you can have on virtually anything. You can run it on a Windows PC with an emulator. You can run it on a tablet or from virtually any vendor. You can run it on a smartphone from virtually any vendor. So for just the mere thought of entertaining that, where Apple could release an Android-powered smartphone, it would be interesting. It would probably be more like a Nexus device, which is a pure Android smartphone with no third-party user interface on top of it, like Samsung uses TouchWiz and you got SentUI from HTC. It would be interesting to see what Apple could do with it. Whether Google, just again, this is just fantasy talk, whether Google gave access to Apple for a full top to bottom of Android, so you can actually see a full untouched version of Android on an iOS, or on an Apple device, or whether it'd be something that would be changed and taken over, I guess, and it'd be bits of Apple, bits of Android. it's still interesting to think about, and maybe if we want to talk about it in the comments on the podcast or on our website on Facebook. But it'd be cool to see, what could Apple do if they were given the option of making an Android-powered smartphone. Next up, we have Mastercard and Visa news. So in Australia, I just went and just bought lunch a couple of hours ago, about an hour ago. I used my credit card. They have PayWave. I tap my credit card right next to the machine, and that's it. It's done. There's no signatures. There's no pins, but pin security is big. So in America, pin-based credit cards, which again, I've got a pin-based credit card, so I can do PayWave. I can type in a pin for my credit card, or I can sign it. But in America, this isn't applied, and the problem is that in America, we reported. Well, I'll read it from our report. So they said that the credit card, Mastercard and Visa, will phase out face-to-face signature-based credit cards over the next couple of years, and there's going to be a microchip installed into the cards, which will then offer you a PIN number that, just like you have with a debit card. But with 25% of all credit card transactions done in the US, it's a big reason why this hasn't been done sooner. But then there's another reason why, like the driving force behind the security side, is that a large portion of credit card fraud is done within the United States because of the signatures. They can be easily manipulated, easily changed. And I've been to retailers that just simply don't check the signature. Not going on a tangent, but I actually worked in an IT retailer in my state in South Australia for nearly 10 years, and I actually had this woman come in, and I used to check. I was really vigilant every time I checked the signature or even the name or just you just see people. After working in retail for so long, you just kind of get that knack. And she came in and she handed me the credit card and wanted to buy, I think it was a CPU at the time, maybe a Core i5 processor and a motherboard. And she was saying, it was for her brother. She looked like she was buying it, not like she looked like she was trying to rip us off or she was going to steal it. She hands me a credit card. And she's like, can you just put it on this? And she's walking around like not really paying attention. I don't know if she did it intentionally. And I looked at the credit card and it says Mr. and whatever the name was at the time. And I'm thinking, like, I kind of looked twice. I'm like, really? You're trying to hand me something that says Mr.? So I said, sorry, ma'am. Can you come over here? I just need to talk to you for a second. And because she had obviously walked across the store by then. She came back and she's like, yeah, what's up? And I said, like, is this your credit card? Oh, no, that's my dad's credit card. And I said, well, you do realize you can't use your dad's credit card. I said, if this was a debit card and you knew the PIN number, then you could. And obviously this story that we're talking about is PIN security in the United States for credit cards. And I said to her, you can't use this card. Like, I can't accept this. And she's like, but I can sign for it. And I'm like, but that's not your signature. That's your father's signature. Your signature is you. That's your identity. It's your signature, and your dad's signature is his. Like, you can't just sign for. But I do it all the time. And so a lot of stores don't check. It's almost like they don't want to make a fuss or make the customer upset. But it's your security. Wouldn't you want your credit card to be secure, knowing that if the unfortunate happened and you lost your wallet or your purse or just your card, or you left it on the counter or left it in the machine, that it would be looked after and it would be secure? But there are people out there that do that. So this with Mastercard and Visa, they're pushing out PIN-based credit cards next year in the United States. So you'll probably hear a lot more about it as the year continues. The New York Times reported over about a week ago that there's an Unpacked 5 event, Samsung Unpacked 2014 Episode 1, which is happening on Monday 24th of February, which is a little over a week from now. Pardon me. It's happening at Mobile World Congress, and we should be seeing Samsung unveil their new next generation flagship smartphone, the Galaxy S5. And we should also see the Galaxy Gear 2, Samsung's second smartwatch. Smartwatches up until now I didn't really care about. I didn't really think that they were going to be this big thing in the market. But then Sony actually sent me one that I've got for review. So I've actually got the Sony, that's the Sony Smartwatch 2 there. It's really good. I think for me it's more of a notification to my phone. I sometimes don't feel my phone vibrating in my pocket, but I will actually feel my smartwatch vibrating, and I might be driving, and I'll feel it vibrating. It'll just be like vibrate. It'll just slowly pulse on my arm. But my phone I won't feel when I'm driving, or if I'm walking through the shops, or if I'm playing with my daughter. I think we were jumping around the trampoline a couple of days ago, and I could feel it vibrating on my arm, but I wouldn't feel my phone vibrating if I was jumping. So again, Samsung they're pushing towards smartwatches, but it'll be interesting to see what the Galaxy Gear 2 does. Samsung's more like the Sony watch works with everything. Like I think the Galaxy Gear 2, it only works with certain Galaxy smartphones. So it'll be weird to see where they actually build support in, and whether it supports more Android devices or just Galaxy devices. So we'll have to play the waiting game there, but we should have more news in the next couple of days. We've got some more news for another TV show, House of Cards. It's one of my favourite shows of all time. Netflix has got the second season of House of Cards showing tomorrow, or should be Friday, Valentine's Day, so February 14. Remember, it all comes out in one shot, so you'll be able to watch the entire season. It's actually airing in 4K. So I'm sitting in front of an Asus PQ321QE that Asus Australia sent me. I'll be watching it on the 4K panel. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be beautiful. And Netflix are actually releasing. They've come forward and confirmed that they're working on a third season of House of Cards. It's interesting to see that there's a third season because Netflix actually announced it as a 2-season, $100 million investment. It was never meant to have a third season. So this is the first renewal of the show. I'm guessing that we'll see more and more of it because it is just a phenomenal show. If you haven't watched it, watch it. 2 more posts to wrap up our technology podcast. We have LG confirming its G2 Pro. The G2 Pro is going to come with a 13 megapixel rear HD camera, which will be capable of shooting 4K. And it also comes with Optical Image Stabilization Plus, or OIS Plus. So OIS Plus will capture full HD video, and of course the aforementioned Ultra HD stuff. And it will also include 20-shot burst mode. So if you're doing an action shot, snap, you can actually snap a lot of photos at once and get that perfect shot thereafter. And wrapping up technology, Twitter posted a huge loss for 2013, a $645 million loss. Absolutely huge. But compared to revenue, the company actually doubled it compared to 2012, where they reached $664 million. The company attributed the $645 million loss to, quote-unquote, from Twitter, $521 million of stock-based compensation expense, of which $406 million was for restricted stock units previously granted to employees, for which no expense has been recognised until the effective date of our initial public offering in accordance with their general agreed accounting principles. So again, it's not like Facebook went public and didn't make money instantly, so we're not going to see Twitter go public and make money instantly. It'd be interesting to see where Twitter goes this year and whether we see a big change for the social network, or whether we see them continue to just bleed money like that. The stock price of Twitter stumbled upon that news, and it hasn't really regained since. It's still hurting a little bit. Thanks for checking in for our tech podcast. We will talk to you soon. We'll have another one probably about a week or so from now in the world of technology from TweakTown. Thanks for listening.